What makes the web work?
Information and academics.
Passion.
I think it's information.
Electricity.
I think the web works on trust.
Developers.
Connected humans.
We do.
The people.
It's the people.
Totally people.
People.
Make the web work.
Hello and welcome to WordCamp US 2025. I'm Steve Persh of Pantheon. This is Web Sessions, and I'm here with Luke Langford of Monarx. Luke, for those who haven't met you yet, could you take a moment and introduce yourself?
Happy to do so. Great to be here. I am the CEO of Monarx. Monarx is the most advanced security solution for web hosts and websites.
So, Luke, what makes the web work?
I think that's a very interesting question. I think the web works on trust. And I think I mean that maybe in a couple different ways. Certainly as a community of trusted people who work on the web, we need to have partners we trust. Customers that choose Pantheon or other hosters have to trust that hoster will take care of them to run their business. That's important in the web. But I also think it relates, having a security mindset, to the tools we implement to unfortunately deal with the consequence that sometimes happens when there isn't trust. Right. There are
Sure.
bad guys out there that you need to protect against.
Yeah, when trust is violated, any number of business owners might find themselves having to think through, like, wait, there are more moving pieces on the web than I realized. For a business leader who finds themselves in a situation where they need to start thinking about the moving pieces of the internet more deeply than they thought they would have to, where should they start? If they have a layman's understanding of the web and they suddenly find themselves needing to think more deeply about how trust comes into existence on the web, where should they start?
Yeah. It can be really intimidating for a lot of small business owners who already approach all things web without really maybe a high technical understanding in some instances. They know their business.
Yeah.
They just want it to work. So I think clearly looking for hosters that they trust, hosters who talk about security. And some hosters do, I think, a pretty good job of educating their customers on what they do to help with security. So I would obviously encourage any business owner to look for a hoster that is talking about security. If they're not talking about it, that doesn't necessarily mean they're not secure, but maybe that's not an emphasis they have. They don't have the tooling. That's why they're not talking about it. Certainly, you could always look to security companies. If someone went to a Monarx website and saw logos of our customers there, that's going to be an indicator that that host has clearly invested in a security tool.
Yeah.
But I think hosters often, if they do security well, they tend to educate their customers about it. So would encourage any business owner to look there.
Yeah. So here in the WordPress ecosystem, one of the classic attack vectors relies on file permissions. Hosts or sites that liberally configure file permissions and allow a WordPress website to rewrite itself in production is dangerous. How should web teams approach those sort of classic problems that feel like they shouldn't even be problems anymore?
Yeah. There's different ways you can approach development, and I don't know that I have really strong opinions of the pros and the cons, right? There are times that developers prefer operating that way for good reason. Selfishly, from the Monarx perspective, we solve that problem and allow any mode of operation. So a host that is using Monarx to secure their servers is going to have Monarx operating at the server level. We're CMS agnostic, of course, work a lot to support WordPress sites and secure them, but because we're operating at the server level, we're taking care of looking at processes on that server, files, any changes to those things, and we can quarantine, clean injections, and deal with the consequence that may come from folks that have decided to operate in a manner that may leave themselves somewhat vulnerable.
Sure.
But if they're doing it for technical reasons around how they choose to develop, that can be fine.
Yeah.
My advice would be choose a hoster that you're confident has something to provide a guardrail to work with the way you're interacting.
So here in this booth, we are trying to set a relaxed vibe. Part of the implicit message here is that when your host is secure, when your website is up and reliable, then any individual has a chance to take a vacation. However, I'm going to ask you to scare me, I guess, to interrupt my mental vacation here. What are some security threats on the horizon that I don't even know about? I imagine you in your role, you in addition to the old classic vulnerabilities that everybody here knows about. What are the ones we don't know about that I do need to start thinking about?
So, AI is making it scarily easy for the bad guys to do things that are just slightly different than they've done before. To get through what I would call traditional defenses.
Yes.
And so AI is great. Like I love using it. It helps. I vibe code things. If you're developing, you can move so much faster. It's been really neat to be here at WordCamp and see some of what people are doing with AI.
Yeah.
AI is a tool for good, but the bad guys are using it too. So, which to me just means you want to choose a host that is thoughtful on security and that is chosen to deploy a tool set that can be immune to some of what AI can do. Monarx is an example of this, in that we built our malware engine to use AI to understand the application syntax tree of code. Sorry to get a little technical.
Oh, I love it.
But it allows us to anticipate the behavior of that code so that even if a malware file is not one we have seen before, we can still tell when it's going to do something inappropriate or bad.
Yeah.
And then block it or clean it or quarantine it or whatever it needs to be. So my plug is that AI should make us all a little more nervous. It's gonna allow us to take more vacations, but it's gonna let the bad guys also kind of raise their game. And you just want to make sure you're working with someone that is taking advantage of AI to combat AI as well.
So I think some of the security career track for any individual might go through a phase where they operate as a borderline malicious hacker. They may or may not run afoul of the law. And at some point in their lives, they decide, okay, I'm going to take off the black hat and I'm going to put on the white hat. Is there a similar transition to be had in the AI space? Like, should more people be at least thinking or playing in the space of, should I be using AI to think more maliciously, even in a sort of sandbox way, so that I then can guard against it?
No, I think that's actually a great point. Look, I'm never going to advocate someone go black hat and do anything inappropriately legal. But AI doesn't. You don't have to do it. You can still. AI can enable you to play red team against your own stuff much more easily, even if you feel like you may not have the skills.
Yeah.
Go open your AI tool of choice and ask it to tell you what it would do to do a pen test, a vulnerability, to test various things. So I think it actually is a really useful exercise to take you out of yourself, to think more like the bad guys. And I think it's a great suggestion that more people probably should do to anticipate what their vulnerabilities could be.
Yeah, I'm starting to think about it. I don't have any specialized training in that space, but as part of my job, I make all sorts of sandbox sites on Pantheon, and maybe I should just take an afternoon and ask an AI, how would you hack this WordPress site, and see what it comes up with. It might come up with stuff that I have not ever thought about. Any other things you would recommend teams think about here in 2025 related to security that they might not have thought about it in the past related to security?
I actually, my main advice would be to actually still think about security. I've talked to a lot of agencies here at the show today who will often take the perspective they just assume that more or less any host their clients have asked them to use is going to be secure, and that's not true.
Right?
Actually,
there
is a spread. There are hosts that think much more thoughtfully about security and put more into it, and there are hosts that don't. And it can sometimes be hard to tell if you're on the outside.
Yeah.
And I'm not here to name names or shame. I think everyone is sincerely trying within the constraints of their business, but some are putting more effort into it. And I would just encourage people to actually not assume that everything is secure.
Yeah.
That there's a wide vector of attacks still out there, and not every host is going to be the same. And so put that in your consideration set when you're choosing where you choose to host.
So if we started somewhere around the web is built on trust, it sounds like you're saying trust but verify.
Good way to summarize it. Yeah.
All right, I like it. Can we get a closing high five?
Sure.
Thanks so much, Luke.
Thanks, Steve.
Have a great WordCamp, everybody.